Paperback Rocker, episode 66. Hey, this is Matt Severson, the Paperback Rocker, and I'm broadcasting from my 6x9 foot cinder block shack in the desert of northern Mexico, southern Texas. Welcome and thanks for checking out my show.
Today's topics of discussion will include British rock and terriers.
Hey everybody, what's up? It's your old friend Matt, back again with yet another volume of the Blue Whiskey audiobook series. Contact me at paperbackrocker@live.com. Find my books for Kindle or hardback, paperback, you name it, all available on Amazon. I'm going to go ahead and pick right up where we left off. The son of Faulkner had just been murdered and identified by our hero Stanton Wheelhouse III, who came back and told Reuben that the son of Faulkner's middle name was Cuthbert, which informed our hero Stanton Wheelhouse III that truly was the son of Faulkner, because that was William Faulkner's middle name as well. It's a family name. And it's the middle name of Stanton Wheelhouse III. Okay. Let's see. Let's dedicate, I'm going to start on the bottom of 62. Let's dedicate our lives to the son of Faulkner, Reuben said, whether he was really Faulkner's son or not. He was the son of Faulkner, I said. I saw his name. His last name was really Faulkner? No, it was the middle name that gave it away. It was the same as mine. My father named me after William Faulkner. Let me get this straight, Reuben said. William Faulkner, you, and the son of Faulkner all have the same middle name? Yes, Cuthbert. Reuben looked at me with an amused and somewhat bewildered look on his face, but said nothing. His full name was Melville Cuthbert Walker, I said. I think it goes without much speculation that the first name was a tribute to Herman Melville. I was very familiar with classic books and their authors, even when I had not read them. The White Whale. Take me to where you wrote your song about the whales, he said. We walked slowly to the bench and sat there thinking about our lost friend as we gazed at the water. Finally, Reuben said, I've said my piece, although he had not spoken a word. Let's go back to the possum and continue your studies. Melville Cuthbert Walker would want that. We returned to the saloon and Reuben led me upstairs. I don't want you sleeping in your car anymore, Stanton, he said. Not after what happened. You're sleeping up here on the floor from now on. But you might step on me in the night, I said. I always get out of bed the same way. We'll make a pallet on the opposite side until we can find a cot. Thank you, I said, very much. Reuben went to his nightstand and produced a fifth of Jack Daniels. In New Orleans, when somebody dies, we drink to them, he said. He handed me the bottle. Take a pull. I did as instructed. It burned. I had to fight the urge to gag. It was my first drink of straight liquor. Ever had the blues, Stanton? He asked after his turn with the bottle. Not really. If I have, I don't know. Reuben went to his record collection and took a long time making a selection. He wanted the perfect song. He loaded it and played a mournful tune, and it affected my mood immediately. The music was simple but powerful. Do you think you can play something like this? He asked. You're an excellent musician, but everything you've played has that Spanish style. It sounds like it's based on a pentatonic scale with the occasional passing note, I said. I'd like to try to play along if you'll restart the song. 2 minutes into it, I had mastered the form, but it would be another year before I was brave enough to add my individual style. The blues are deceptively easy on the surface, but many subsequent nights listening to old black men on Bourbon Street pour out their individual interpretations, showed me I knew very little, regardless of how well I understood the song structures. Before I knew it, Reuben and I had downed half the fifth, and my fingers were growing minds of their own. I can't play right. I'm very drunk. I'm drunk, I said. Well, play wrong then, Reuben said. He was lit up too. I set the guitar behind us on the bed. Can't do it. That's okay, Stanton. Let's just listen to the blues and remember the son of Faulkner. You really think he was who he said he was? I'm positive. Reuben smiled and put his hand on my shoulder as we sat on his bed listening to Blind Boy Fuller sing the blues. I went to sleep on the floor shortly after that, but Reuben stayed up for hours, playing blues records softly and drinking. I didn't have the tolerance for whiskey that he did. My dreams were influenced by the music, and I learned much about myself. Reuben slept most of the next day, but I had gone to bed early, so I went downstairs and opened the possum for lunch. It was a decision that should have been made by Reuben, but I figured if I was supposed to be growing up, I'd better stop asking people what to do so much. I turned the volume on the jukebox down so as not to disturb Reuben, but none of the patrons wanted to play music when they found out why the man who was always drunk at the bar wasn't drunk at the bar. At 3 p.m, a boy brought a message from the morgue. It said, Melville Walker will be buried in Potter's Field if arrangements to take custody of his body are not made within 24 hours. Thank you. Thank you, I said to the boy and opened the till to give him $1. I respectfully offer my condolences for your loss, he said in a sincere, practiced manner. I gave him another $1. Reuben made his appearance shortly after, looking worse for wear. I saw the surprise on his face when he witnessed the handful of customers I was serving. I also noticed his approval. He walked up next to me behind the bar and said, I sure could use old Faulkner's cure-about now. I didn't see him working from a recipe, I said. I guess he wasn't a writer like his father. Oh, he was a writer, Reuben said. There's a number of manuscripts under my bed, and these are the instructions as to what to do with them. He opened the cash register and lifted the till out and set it on the bar. He picked a sealed envelope out of the register drawer and handed it to me. Written on it in tremulous script was, "In the event of my demise." He gave that to me when he was going through the DTs, Reuben said. I had no idea what the DTs were, but I thought better of asking. Open it. I did as instructed and took out a wrinkled piece of paper written on in the same shaky script. I read it aloud slowly. To my one friend I leave my manuscripts. If they bring profit in any amount, Reuben Blumenkranz is to receive it. Said profit is to cover my unpaid bar tab at the Thirsty Possum, as agreed to by myself and Reuben Blumenkranz on this day, August 22, 1960. Both of their signatures were scrawled at the bottom of the page at odd angles. I never thought it would happen, said Reuben. You mean he never paid for anything? I asked. Not a drop. He was my first customer. Showed up 5 minutes after I tapped the first keg. He was shaking, going through withdrawals. He made a joke that he was the beer freshness inspector. I considered him a good luck charm. Nobody wants to walk into an empty bar. He was always here to make sure nobody ever walked into an empty possum. Those manuscripts could be valuable, I said, but felt immediately guilty at the suggestion. Reuben didn't hold it against me. They're a mess, he replied. It'll take years to edit them, even if we can find somebody willing to do the job. That won't be a problem, I said, and couldn't help but smile. I grew more serious as I handed over the note the boy had delivered. A boy delivered this, I said. What should be done? Reuben took it and read it with a quick glance. We'll hold a wake at this time tomorrow, he said with conviction. What time is it? 3 o'clock, I said. Afternoon or morning? He asked. I pointed to the front window into which sunlight streamed. Reuben said, Of course. I'm still groggy, don't you know. I sure could use that cure of his. What's a wake? I asked. Burial at sea? It's a celebration of life, Stanton. Just wait and see. He pulled a cardboard beer flat from below the bar and ripped the corners to make the sides splay out and make the flat truly flat. He reached below the cash register where there was a glass filled with pens and pencils and produced a black marker, then wrote on the cardboard, "Wake for the son of Faulkner, tomorrow at 3 p.m. In the morning, help me remember to cross out tomorrow, Stanton." He went to tape the sign in the front window. When he came back, he said, "Keep holding down the fort. I need to run to the morgue, then find a cemetery." By noon the following day, word had spread up and down Bourbon Street, and 100 people had gathered at the Thirsty Possum, drinking like there would be no tomorrow. From what I gathered in overhead conversation, most of them were unfamiliar with the son of Faulkner. By 2:45, over 100 mourners crowded the bar, talking loudly. Promptly at 3, a horse-drawn hearse carrying the simple casket arrived. Reuben jumped up on the bar and blew a shrill whistle for the first of many times that day. It was like a basketball referee might use, hanging on a string around his neck. The mourners became silent. "Everyone, please listen while I say a few words about the man we have come together to honor." The crowd cheered and quickly quieted. "His name was Melville Cuthbert Walker," Reuben declared loudly enough for all to hear, "and he was my friend." Another cheer. Reuben waved his arms to hush the crowd. "He claimed he was the son of William Faulkner. Nobody believed him but me and Stanton." He smiled at me, then turned his attention back to the saloon and screamed, "He was the son of William Faulkner." The crowd erupted, and Reuben jumped down and led the people outside, blowing his whistle. I was the last to exit, feeling responsible for locking the door. When I turned around from doing that, I could barely believe my eyes. About a dozen black men of varying ages stood in line behind the open carriage that carried the coffin, holding tubas and trombones and trumpets and clarinets. 2 of them, who looked like teenagers, had drums. The taller boy had a snare, and the smaller one had a big bass extending from his chest and supported by straps over his shoulders. Mallets dangled from straps around his wrists. I couldn't see him, but I heard Reuben blow his whistle again, and the snare boy rapped a military-style beat for a few bars before pausing in dramatic fashion. He hit the snare 4 times like he was counting in a song, which he was. That's when the action started. The carriage lurched forward, and the horses' hooves clopped against the road. The horns blasted into full swing, and the ragtag band marched behind the coffin with their heads thrown back and their chests puffed out like proud birds. The bar patrons formed a loose procession behind the musicians. Black children whose ages were in the small digits had bottle caps glued to their toes, to the toes and heels of their shoes, and tap danced down the sidewalks alongside. I had never attended a funeral, but this was the polar opposite of how I imagined them. It was a celebration of the son of Faulkner's life, whether anyone but Reuben and me could claim to know the man. We danced through the streets, and the music grew ever more ecstatic. People yelled from doorways and balconies as we passed, calling out, "Praise Jesus!" The sky grew cloudy and rain fell. The day was warm, so nobody minded. After a while, I tuned the noise out, as I mentioned I am able to do thanks to The Tempest. I observed the imagery with an artist's eye, taking it all in with the knowledge that it was going to come back out in the form of music at some later time. The faces of the mourners were a revelation to me. Some people were laughing and some were crying, but I couldn't tell the difference. With the sound turned off, laughing and crying were the same in the rain. In that moment, I knew the absolute truth for the first time. I really was an artist. I turned the volume back up and sang along to The Saints Go Marching In with all I had. Later that night, after the son of Faulkner had been laid to rest in the same cemetery as the captain, Reuben and I sat on bar stools next to each other, spent of emotion. The closed sign had been placed in the front window, although there was a significant lack of humanity attempting to enter the thirsty possum. "The world's a rotten place," said Reuben, who was on the disgusted side of drunkenness. "I think it's a lovely place." My world was half full. "What makes you say that?" slurred Reuben. "Well, you and I are here together, and we enjoy each other's company. That'll come to a terrible end like everything else." "Sure, everything comes to an end. That's why we have to enjoy it while it lasts. The more I enjoy it, the more it will hurt in the end." "Have you ever heard of a gratitude list, Reuben?" "No," he said. The word, although only a single syllable, took a long time coming out. We sat there for a while. "Well, you going to tell me about the list or not?" he said. "I'm sure you know what gratitude means," I said. "Things you're grateful for, like on Thanksgiving." "Exactly. Let's make a gratitude list for you. We don't need to write it down. What are you grateful for?" "Son of Faulkner." "Me too," I said. "What next?" "You." "Thanks. Next?" "Bobby Dylan." "Next?" "The Thirsty Possum, New Orleans, Mom and Dad, Grandma and Grandpa, boiled shrimp. I get your point, Stanton. You sure know how to screw up a bad mood." "I thought the whole point of that wake thing was not to be unhappy." "Stanton, people still have to mourn. When a friend of mine dies, I'm going to feel sad. I'm not a robot." "I guess you're right," I said. "But try to think of your glass as half full. That's what I do." Reuben looked at the beer glass in front of him and said, "Actually, it's empty, but I'll try to remember that, Stanton. Let's go upstairs." "It's too early to go to sleep," I said. "Who said anything about sleep? I'm going to work on that gratitude list a little more. Come on." "Really?" I said, following after him. All right, we're going to stop there. That's page 69 in this beautiful hardback and available in paperback as well. But no, this one's not paperback. This one is only hardback. Black Dog has paperback and hardback. And that'll probably be the next book I read here on the Paperback Rocker Show. Hope you enjoyed this installment, this volume of Blue Whiskey, my novel. And I'll be back soon with another exciting episode about our hero, Stanton Wheelhouse III, Cuthbert Wheelhouse III. Thanks for being with me. Have a great week. See you next time.
The Paperback Rocker has signed off.